Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, my brothers, and all the wives that are sneaking in, or daughters, or girlfriends, or female people that we know sneaking into the men's ministry. Welcome, all of you. Today is Monday, the 11th. Yesterday was Mother's Day, second most holy day of the year, second to Easter. Father's Day chimes in at number 4. 3 is Christmas, 2 is Easter, 1 is Mother's Day. So happy day, mamas. And if you forgot Mother's Day, I don't know what to do for you, bro. I just can't help you. Way more important than Valentine's Day. Listen, 3 weeks left together. And I got to tell you, I'm rejoicing because making these little videos is fun. But I really prefer live interaction. And it's a big effort, a lot of work. Not complaining. I'm just saying, whew, I can't wait to be back in human contact with people such as yourselves. 3 weeks left. Today, my second favorite parable. I think it's one of the most critical parables, we'll get to it, that there is as a lifestyle of a disciple parable. Second favorite parable, or first, I can't remember which. It's one of my favorites. Luke 15. The prodigal son. We're going to take that puppy apart next week. And 3 weeks from now will be our last time together via internet. And wow, what an emotional time for me. But what we're going to do, we being Kyle and me, we have every message ever recorded, ever given at Dawn Patrol. We have a library, and we're going to put some stuff together through Kyle's eyes. Great moments, including men's retreats. Great moments, great quotes, great interviews, great funnies. We hope to get Sparky in there somewhere. I just can't wait. And we're just going to jip all that together and enjoy the space again, the dinners, all of it together. I think that'll be fun. I think that'll be a really appropriate last way. That'll be Memorial Day week. What is it? The 27th, I think, Dust Patrol, 28th, Dawn Patrol, something like that. That'll be our last one, and we're really excited about that. 3 weeks to prepare for that. That'll be fun. On to this week. Listen, tough week. As you know, my future will be the Tribal Way. You can look at it, our nonprofit. It's a disciple-making nonprofit using all forms of media and gathering. It's a Dunkirk-type ministry. Finding people who are unchurched, awakening them to who God is, and walking them through the early stages of Christianity, pointing them to churches. TheTribalWay.org is how you can find me. Now, I'm not doing a plug, but I want you to be included in what I'm doing. You can sign up for a newsletter, know how to find me, Mark Lewis Campbell on Instagram, The Tribal Way on Instagram or Facebook, and TheTribalWay.org to see what we're doing. I say that for 2 reasons. One is I'd love for you to know what we're doing. Secondly, I don't know if you heard about it, but Saturday there was a horrendous shark attack with a death in Santa Cruz. First time in a couple of years that there's been a death to shark attack. And Ben Kelly is the gentleman who passed, and Ben Kelly is a dear, dear friend of ours, dear friend of my son's. He was the first surfboard that we had in the barbershop. He's a shaper, married 3 years. Elias actually, when he moved to Santa Cruz, took Ben Kelly's spot in an apartment with 5 dudes with Jim Sweetman's son, Robbie Sweetman. And Robbie was with Ben when the attack happened. So it's a very close to Three Crosses thing. Amy Sweetman, Jim and Shirley's daughter's husband, Nick, was also with Ben on the tragic day. And it's just like, it's unbelievable. So Santa Cruz is rocked. Ben is a believer. Big believer, as is Katie. The whole community is rocked and being awakened to a new level of Christianity and in and around the barbershop. And so isn't it interesting, the Tribal Way is just right there in the middle of it and ministering to people and trying to love people and answer tough questions and be a light in a dark place. So that's what we're doing. I wanted you to be aware of that. It's with heavy hearts that, in a sense, that I make the video today, and their best friends live above us. It's like brutal. It's close to home, really close to home. And that's that. I don't want to get into all that. I just want you to be aware of it. And let's get into our parable. we're 5 minutes into the little video, and again, with sadness in my heart over Ben, with sadness in my heart, this is like, I love dividing the word with you guys. I love it. That's the thing I'm going to miss. Since 1997, I've been teaching the Bible 1 to 3 times a week, live, in all types of settings. And all my men's retreats and family camps and everything got canceled this year, so I'm speaking nowhere. And that's going to be hard. And Larry, I know you know what I'm talking about. Butch, when you can't speak, I know it's hard. It's just something that oozes out of us. I love working on messages. I love studying for them. I love preparing for you men. I love, 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 love it. I'll miss it dearly. And so with that, turn to your good book, Matthew 13. It is a massive parable. It's massive, and it shifts the whole tension of the book of Matthew. Matthew put this parable, followed by many others, and it shifts so much of the focus of Matthew's gospel. It's like, okay, let's get busy now. Let's get to it now. And it's the parable of the farmer scattering seed. It's the parable of the farmer and the seed. It's the parable of the seed. It's the parable of the soil. Some of your translations thought that was another rat. Some of your translation headers might name it something. So let's turn there. We're going to read it together, and then we're going to unpack it on site, because I happen to be at the Tribal Way Global Headquarters, which includes a new garden that we put in during the Corona pandemic. Have you heard of it? It's called the Corona. It sucked the life out of a planet. But we're all resetting, and it's going to be better than it was before. I can feel it. Can you feel it? We've really wrestled as a world what matters and what doesn't. Some people are going to pop when the lid comes off, and they're going to go crazy. Most of us are going to reset some things and not return to the things we shouldn't have been doing in the first place, I think. I don't know. I'm not a prophet. Matthew 13. Let's go. 7 minutes into it. Later the same day, Jesus left the house and sat beside the lake. I thought it'd be appropriate to read it. I normally just tell parables, but for the sake of the good book, let's read it together. A large crowd soon gathered around him, and he got into a boat because of the large crowd. Get away from me a little bit. Give me 10 feet. Social distancing. Give me 15 feet. Step back a little bit. You guys can't swim. I'm going to sit in a boat and teach. Good amplification of the reflection of the water. Not reflection, but you know what I'm talking about. Then he sat there and taught as people stood on the shore. And he told many stories in the form of parables, such as this one. Parables it literally means to lay aside. It's a truth, and I'm going to give you a metaphor, a picture, a story to lay aside a truth, because you're not getting the truth. So I'm going to lay aside some things that you're familiar with, and so many of the parables are about agriculture. These were people that understood farming and understood. They didn't have Trader Joe's. They understood how to grow stuff, how to raise stuff, how to slaughter stuff, how to milk stuff, how to work stuff. Listen, he says. A farmer went out to plant some seeds, to scatter some seeds. As he scattered them across his field, some weeds fell on the footpath, and the birds came and ate them. Other seeds fell on shallow soil with underlying rock. Those seeds sprouted quickly because the soil was shallow, but the plants soon wilted under the hot sun. And since they didn't have deep roots, they died. Seeds fell among thorns that grew up and choked out the tender plants. Still other seeds fell on fertile soil, and they produced a crop that was 30, 60, and even 100 times as much as he had been planted. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. Not hear, but listen, which is apply it and understand what's happening. And his disciples came to him later and said, "Why do you use parables when you talk to the people?" And he replied, "You're permitted to understand the mysteries of the kingdom, the secrets of the kingdom of heaven. But others are not. To those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given." This is huge. "And they will have an abundance of knowledge. But for those who are not listening, even what little understanding they have will be taken away from them." This is why I use parables. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this day, this fantastic parable, what it's meant to me over the years. And Lord, I pray that you would speak to the hearts of my friends that are listening, however they're listening. And thank you for they are listening. They're listening to you, not me. Lord, speak to their hearts as only you can. And again, be with the Kelly family, Katie, Robbie Sweetman, Amy, everybody who's so close to that tragic situation. Comfort them and have your way with this community and world regarding Sweet Ben's life and what he stood for. He loved you so much, Lord. Look forward to seeing him again in eternity. Thank you for that. Again, bless us with your wisdom. Give us direction. May our hearts understand. Give us eyes to see and ears to understand, and hearts that can produce a great fruit, a great yield of harvest. For your sake, Lord, we pray. In your son's sweet name, Jesus. Amen. Well, my friends, you got seeds. You got a farmer. You got shallow soil. You got fertile soil. You got a harvest. You got weeds. You got birds. You got a lot going on there. But this whole thing, what he just said, that's why I use parables. To those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given. Those who listen, remember, it's not hearing my teaching. It's applying. Luke 7 says, those who hear my words and put them to use are those who understand, like the wise guy who builds his house on the rock. When storms come, it doesn't fall. Those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given and they will have an abundance of knowledge. But those who are not listening, that means they heard it, but they're not applying it, even what little understanding they have will be taken away from them. It's the talent. It's the parable of the talent. Here's something, go bury it, or here's a talent. I'll be back in 6 months. Tell me what you did with the talent. One guy said I turned it into 100. Another guy said I turned it into 10. One guy said I buried it. I was afraid to lose it. So here's your talent back. And the guy said, you wicked fool, give me that talent back. I'm not even giving you something to bury. I didn't give you something to bury it, protect it, and insulate it, and isolate it. I gave you a talent to go use it, multiply. I gave you gifts to go use. Malachi, give a tithe. Challenge me. I'll bring it back to you tenfold. Give. If you don't give, I'm not going to give you much at all. And it's like this massive principle. It's like the more Ephesians 2:10 moments, intersections that we are awakened to and step out in faith in and practice, the more those moments are going to line up. But if we're not even recognizing the moments, it's like the Father says, you're not going to catch it anyway. I love you, but you're going to be disqualified from that section of your life. You're not going to enter the race in that kind of a form. Bro, if you're not listening, if you're not applying what I'm telling you, even what I'm telling you, I'm just going to start holding from you. It's not going to give you pearls before swine. I mean, there's 1,000 ways he says this. And so the whole point as we grow as men of God, as we mature as disciples and choose to step out and make disciples, the real deal, we've got to start spreading around the things God gives us, our resources, our time, our gifts, all of the stuff that we have to use for his sake. Now, I'm going to take this parable apart on site because I just planted a new garden and we're going to actually go deal with some seeds and we're going to pick it up there. The audio will change, the lighting will change because I'm going outside and it's bright outside, right? So it kind of messes with the camera, but I'm not worried about it. I hear a wood chipper firing up. My neighbor's probably doing some trees. Bad timing. We're going to work it out though. We're going to get it done. Look, before we head outside. They look, but they don't really see. They hear, but they don't really understand. And this fulfills the prophecy of Isaiah, verse 14. Back to Matthew 13, verse 14. When you hear what I say, you will not understand, says Isaiah. When you see what I do, you will not fully comprehend it. For the hearts of these people are hardened. The hearts of these people are hardened. Their ears cannot hear. For they have closed their eyes. Remember when he announced his ministry in Luke 4? I've come so the blind could see, the deaf could hear, lame could walk, captives would be set free. And they have closed their eyes, so their eyes can't see and their ears can't hear and their hearts cannot understand. And they can't turn to me as a result to let me heal them. To let me heal them. That's such a nugget on this parable that just for the sake of time, myself included 100 times, us preachers can't get to. But God wants to heal us, set us free, restore us, make us whole, holy, be holy as I'm holy, make you whole, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Let's do life together and let's get on with this thing called healing. But when you can't see what I'm doing, you can't hear what I'm saying, you don't understand what I'm about, you're left to your own. I can't do nothing for you. He says, but blessed are your eyes because you see, and your ears because you hear. Now listen to the explanation of the parable, which is common sense. You and I, we know what it means, but let's read it for the sake of reading it. Now listen to the explanation of the parable about the farmer planting the seeds. And there are many great sermons that I've heard, that I've been a part of, that I've watched. There's so many facets. So if I miss something, get over it, man. This is my thing, and I have a couple of perspectives here I want to clue in on. So I'm going to leave some stuff out. Now listen, the explanation about the farmer planting seeds. The seed that fell on the footpath represents those who hear the message about the kingdom and don't understand it. Then the evil one comes and snatches away the seed that was planted in their hearts, the birds. The birds. I'm planting seeds right now. Fellas, you'll see the garden. I got bird net on them. The birds still pick the net apart, and birds are a big deal in agriculture. Birds come in and steal that seed, and you guys know what it's like to have the evil one snatch a truth, a word, a something that the Lord's given you, and then the evil one comes and muddies it up, confounds it, and birds come in all shapes and forms. Birds come in pornography. Birds come in greed. Birds come in distractions from the enemy. Opportunities from the enemy. Birds came in Genesis chapter 2 in the form of a snake with an opportunity. There's more for you to do. And as we reopen the country, opportunities are going to abound. And be careful, my brothers, that birds aren't sneaking in and stealing what God's shown you in these last 8 weeks. All of us have grown spiritually, I think, between all the devotions and all the online teaching and how our community stopped and how we reached into God deeper. Don't let the birds snatch that stuff away. Then the seeds that fell on the rocky soil represents those who hear the message and immediately receive it with joy. Man, I could go through a litany of guys in our life that we've seen, kids. But since they don't have deep roots, they don't last long. They go right back to the way of the world. They fall away as soon as they have problems or are presented are persecuted for believing God's word. As soon as some resistance shows up, I'm passing on the whole God thing. Or I don't have time. It slipped away. And I think because we're good, loyal men, once we stop a routine, stop a devotion, stop something, we feel guilty. Like I bet you there's 300 people that used to come to Dawn Patrol. They came for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and missed 2 and 3 weeks. And then they're too loyal, and they don't want to be considered a hypocrite, or flaky. I'm here 1 week, gone the next, so they just don't come. That's a burden in my heart. The backpack guys are the ones that fell on rocky soil. Those heard the message and immediately received it with joy, but since they didn't have deep roots, they didn't last long. The seeds that fell among the thorns, this is brutal. The thorns represents those who hear God's word, but all too quickly the message is crowded out by the worries of life, the worries of an election, the worries of the country opening up, the worries of people wearing masks and people that aren't wearing masks, the worries of all the division in this country, the worries. Yes, we're to be active in it, but not worried, overcome and dismantled by it. And the lure of wealth. Hello, Bay Area. 90% of the people that move here are for wealth, money, gain, opportunity, industry, technology. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Is this parable applicable or what? The lure of wealth. So this is the saddest thing in this whole chapter. So no fruit is produced. None. Zero. Remember the fruit tree, the fig tree? Jesus comes over the Mount of Olives, looks at a fruit tree that hadn't produced fruit for 3 years. He said, cut that thing down. God's serious about the fruit we produce spiritually. Serious about it. He's serious about it. I'm not serious about much. Our fruits of the Spirit, turn to Galatians chapter 5 and look at the list of the fruits of the Spirit. And if Butch Monk was here, he'd rattle them out. The seed that fell on good soil represents those who truly hear the word, understand it, and produce a harvest of 30, 60, or even 100 times as much as they had planted. Unstinking believable. It's my jar of seeds. We're just flowing here. We're shaking and baking. We're going to go out to the farm. We're going to talk about life. Look at the bean seed. Did you ever see a bean seed? I'm brand new at seeding. Last year, we spent $400 on little plants, and we didn't even eat $400 worth of vegetables. This year, we went off, and we've got, look at all the seeds, $100 worth of seeds. But, dude, I got a farm going down. I can't even open this envelope. Have you ever seen a bean seed? Some of you guys that grow up about agriculture, you know, what Mark's going to show you is a bean. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a bean. It's a bean seed. It's amazing. I'm planting mustard. Mustard seed looks like a little teeny speck of dirt. Radishes, tomatoes, big seed, tomato, all kinds of lettuces, arugula, kale, onions, garlic, all the good stuff. Our goal is to eat 80% of our food off this little place we have here in SoCal. Chickens, getting chickens by fall. There's a shortage of chicks right now. You can't get chickens nowhere on the planet because everybody's doing chickens now. But we're going to be doing chickens and growing all of our food. We're already primarily vegetarian, and I'm going to be spearfishing in Monterey Bay and pole fishing off of a paddleboard like my friend Peter. And we're going to eat off the farm. And what little income that I can scrape selling surfboards is what we're going to live on. And then everything given to the Tribal Way nonprofit goes to the projects and the development of what we're doing spiritually in the world. So that feels good to be able to, all the money given to Tribal Way doesn't fund our lifestyle, but our lifestyle is going to be simplistic, humble. There's that painting. I'm going to get that painting and put it right here behind me. I don't know why my nose just, and it's the guy, the old man with the soup bowl and the bread. He's praying, thanking the Lord for the soup and the bread. That's a great life. I don't know where that came from. This jar is 30, 60, and 100 times the fruit. This jar, I am so hopeful, will produce a harvest. God allows us to walk the earth, gives us his spirit, the same spirit that thrust the universe into motion, the same spirit that causes the waves to break on the shore, the same spirit that heals the lame, the deaf, the blind, the dead, the same spirit that awakened Jesus the Christ in the tomb, the same spirit that fell at Pentecost, the same spirit that spirit resides within us to produce fruit, to do the work of the kingdom, not to build our empires, not to have great vacations, not that there's nothing wrong with that, not that there's no shame in that, but we miss the meaning of living when we take our eye off the ball. It's about fruit. It's about getting involved in God's harvest. And the more we do, verse 11 and 12, the more we step out in that faith, the more opportunity he lines up. And when we don't, I don't even want to go down that road. I don't want to know. There's no losing salvation. There's no hell, eternal damnation. We just miss out. We just miss out. You know, I have regrets in my life. Things I've missed that I can't get back. I don't want to miss eternal work, opportunities. I don't want to sit with my Father at his table. Not that he's this kind of God, but I don't want to even think about opportunities missed or fruit not grown because I'm choosing not to see, hear, or understand, or my heart is too hard. You got birds, you got shallow soil. You stay thick in the soil by staying in the Word. And applying the Word softens your heart. Now, that's a really hard thing for a guy like me because I grew up with a hard background, survival mode every day of my life. And this last month, I've been so reflective. Mother's Day yesterday, I didn't really know my mom. Me and her were brother and sister. We left my dad twice, Motel 6 on MacArthur Avenue. Come on, man. She weighed not even 100 pounds. Little teeny woman with her little second grader leaving my dad. It's like, what's that do to a kid's heart? And so God's been trying to soften my heart for years. And that, for me, is the deal. For some of us, it's the birds. I was talking to a good brother who has a friend suffering with pornography, and especially with all this shelter in place, it's just gone through the roof, losing his marriage, losing his dignity, all of the loss because the birds came in and took that seed and takes that, and the evil one comes in, and it's like, bro, get a net. Get serious about getting the bird. Get a BB gun, man. Get serious about getting the birds out of your life. Get serious about the thorns. Buy a mower, man, a weed eater, a machete. You'll know when the thorns rise up, especially as the country starts to, get over the the chaos and the worry of life and the wealth, the driving towards prosperity and retirement and wealth. And retirement, when we just lament over it, and it's like it becomes the focus of our life. The last 20 years, it's like a portfolio, and it's like, come on, man. Yes, we got to retire. Yes, we have to be wise stewards, but is it a thorn? Is it something that gets in the way of opportunities and moments that the Lord's put ahead of you because it might cost you something? The more you give, the more you get. The more you use of God's blessing, the more he replenishes. And then there's the soil, the fertile soil. Okay, my brothers, welcome to the farm. We call this place the farm. These are the new planter boxes. Remember a couple weeks ago, we were in that little teeny garden area with the gopher popping up live on the camera, rats, and well, you guys are getting the whole experience. And this is where our headquarters of the Tribal Way is. It's a little piece of property in Santa Cruz that the Lord blessed us with. And I'm learning how to garden. We just took down like a dozen dying tan oaks, and that's the last of my tree there. And all winter, 6 months, I don't know if you guys can see in the distance there, over 40 cords of firewood, 12 to 1,400 foot trees. Marky Mark's been cutting up like a termite. And yeah, lost a little bit of weight. But my point is, I'm learning how to garden in I cheated. That's an artichoke that I bought for inspiration. $30, one plant. Everything else is seed though. Look at my tomatoes coming up. See my little bird net? My little bird net? I gotta raise it up now because the seeds are sprouting. But these are gonna be tomatoes. They're just starting to sprout. And I can't tell you, more artichokes, more tomatoes that I did from seed inside the house around February, and these are starting to go. I don't know, it's kind of a wild thing. Oops, more cheating. I went and got me some peppers, because come on, man, you can't cook without peppers. Onions and broccoli and all kinds of arugula and lettuces and spinach, tons of spinach. Look, you can see that's little baby spinach, and all kinds of lettuces, reds and romaines, and here's some beans sprouting, and all kinds of stuff that's just coming to life. And the Lord spoke to me 3 weeks ago, clearly, me, your soil's not fertile. Mark's soil isn't fertile. And I left this last box right here because I'm staging. I don't want all my stuff right. We're highly vegetarian, do a lot of smoothies. So I'm gonna put a lot of smoothie stuff in here and kind of stage it, and as stuff dies out, kind of make this a year-long situation. And I spent so much time here over the last 2 months during the COVID with just me and the Lord. Quiet, it's quiet. Cutting, chainsawing, sweating, breaking tools, just a lot of life lived here. And 3 weeks ago, I was finishing these boxes and amending the soil. And the Lord said, that's what I'm doing to you. We're gonna spend a season, never had a sabbatical. Like I said, I've been teaching the Bible, doing ministry since 1997, nonstop. And the Lord said, bro, let's spend some real time together without you running your mouth, without you telling people what you've learned, without you, no show, just grow. Just become a student. Don't talk. Don't share. Don't produce, which is brutal for me because I'm a producer, because I'm insecure, because of my background. Maybe some of you guys can relate to that. Maybe some of you guys need to find some nets in your life, some security nets, because you're sick of the evil one taking what God's given you, stealing it, distracting you. Maybe all these thorns and all this. I got poison oak all along here. That's what my little baby tractor is doing out there. We're getting ready to get rid of some more thorn bushes and some of the chaos and some of the worries in life. Let me tell you, my friends, there is such a movement right now towards simplifying everything. Maybe it's time for you to simplify some stuff. Quit something. Quit 3 things. Say no. Don't re-up the ESPN channel when ESPN kicks back up. I'm not saying that's the gospel. I'm saying for you, maybe you need to change that. My son rents this house right here. And his roommate came back from 2 weeks in Santa Barbara with his girlfriend's family, COVID, and came back and announced that he's going to get a 360 Xbox. No problem with 360 Xboxes. If that's your jam, that's your jam. But my son looked at me like he can't imagine a greater waste of time. I'm so proud of my son. There's one good thing I taught him. Time flees, man. If you enjoy a game, we spent all day yesterday playing badminton. No problem. We won't pick that badminton up again until stinking, I don't know, man, win. And there's just people addicted to video gaming. There's people that allow the worries of the life, all these thorns coming in, birds coming in, and shallow soil. They don't go through that. When the Lord starts putting roots down, they don't go through that season of exploring, testing, leaning in on the Lord. Those things that build faith muscles. Not quitting, not separating, not ending, not denying, not ignoring, not numbing through medication, alcohol, all of it. But for me, I got to learn how to amend some soil. I want to have fertile soil. And there's another piece of Isaiah where, or the Lord brings up some Isaiah. I think it might be Matthew 11. I think it's the woes. Woe to you, hypocrites. Your boxes are dry bones. You're dead men walking around. Your hearts are far from me. Your lips speak of me, but your hearts are far from me. And it's like, I am so excited about this next season. This whole summer, I'm listening to the Lord, and I'm going to be doing some soil work. And soil work isn't the sexiest work there is. Soil work, I'm trying to set the camera up here, guys, so don't get nervous on the wobbly stuff. I can hear you guys now dogging me in the back. Can you see the soil? Is that something that works for you? Is that okay? And to amend soil, there's so much to the process. Look at the metaphor. Look at the metaphor the Lord gave us. Your soil isn't fertile. I got chicken crap in here. Chicken crap. I've got all kinds of compost. What do I need to add to my life this summer that's going to help the Lord enrich my soil? What kind of fertilizer? What kind of relationships? What kind of reading am I going to do? Soul Keeping is a great book by Ortberg. Soul Keeping. How do I enrich my soul? How do I add things to my life without making it worrisome, without making it like a task, without stressing over it? What am I going to add? What relationships am I going to add? What books? What media? What converse? What am I going to do to add to what the Lord's given me? And then there's the mixing of the additives, removing the junk from my heart, the fear and the anger. What am I going to add? And the weeds, look at all the weeds. As you amend, as you pray with the Lord, talk to the Lord, trust the Lord, allow Him to move things into your heart. Meekness, humility, tenderness, all those beautiful things that the Lord loves to see in mature men of God. Resolve, no panic, no hurry, no stress, other than stressful situations that arise, but not as a daily drip of chaos in our life. What are the things the Lord's going to add? And then look at the motion of making fertile, tilling, mixing, painful conversations, resolve that I need to come to with myself and my Maker. I'm saying that because maybe some of you will join me in listening to the Lord and amending our hearts and softening them and fertilizing them and doing whatever it takes. And I can't go much further in that because I don't know what it takes yet to do some heart work. But I'm fired up about it. And so that's the parable of the sower, the parable of the seeds, the farmer and the seeds, whatever you want to call it. You got your birds, you got your shallow soil, you got your, I forgot, birds, shallow soil, and thorns. How could I forget the thorns? Thorns. And then you've got the fertile soil. I want my life to produce a harvest. Like Ben, 26 years old. The world is shooken up. In 26 years of living, that brother has had a harvest. You know that they were praying about becoming missionaries? Just found that out. Ben and Katie. Yeah, harvest. You talked to Ben Kelly and you were present with that brother, and he was genuine and humble and lovely. I want to harvest. So when I die, the seeds produced from the fruit that I produced will produce 100-fold. I love my great-great-grandchildren to walk this field and talk well of their great-great-grandfather they never met and what he did to build the kingdom of heaven. God bless you, brothers. Next week, the prodigal son. The following week, highlights from Dawn Patrol, Dust Patrol, men's dinners, and men's retreat. Should be fun. Love you, gentlemen. God bless you.